Hello, my name is Simmer Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let's get going today, shall we? So today we are building Conservatory Park. Conservatory Park is like an indoor garden space. Obviously there are all of the necessities for it to be a park, but my goal here was to create kind of like a green, pretty luscious area where you can go with your Sims and just kind of enjoy the greenery in the space. It's not really a park, I guess. I mean, it has all the requirements for being a park, but when I think of park, this isn't exactly what I think of. But I have seen a bunch of real life conservatories and stuff where you can go and like see all the plants. So on the gallery in the bio for this build, it actually says that my goal here was something that we could preserve and appreciate local and foreign flora. So I really wanted it to be very green, very lush. If you saw my English garden build, I kind of took some of the ideas that I implemented there here. So I have some like raised planter gardens, planter beds, a lot of pathways to kind of maneuver through the space. I really like how I did the roof. So we have a glass roof up top. So in theory, you could see up through the ceiling. And then we have just walls and walls of windows. So you really don't see any of the walls themselves. I figured that was true to a conservatory or like a green space. So that's what I did here. And I think it looks really cool. It honestly looks a little bit different and a little weird for a Sims build, you know, because most of the time we don't just build squares and put a roof on it and call it a day. But I mean, it's a little bit different in the sense that I have two floors. I deleted the floor, the actual floor of the second floor, so that there is no flooring except for what's on the bottom. And then you have that skylight up on top. And I think that that's really cool. I would really love to come here in like an actual, like a real life place. I feel like it'd be a nice place to just hang out and maybe spend the day with my friends, just relax, maybe like bring your coffee here or a picnic even. I feel like that would be very fun. I will say I had a different idea in mind for this build when I originally started. I used circle platforms to create the raised planter beds for the conservatory. But the original plan was, if it had worked, I would have done like rectangles and then use the circle platform to cut out like half circles from those rectangles. And I didn't even try it because after I sat down to build this, I was like, how in the heck am I supposed to do that? So I abandoned that idea and just decided to use circle platforms. I will say, as I sit here and look at what I did and what my original plan was, I think it was overly ambitious that I even thought that I could pull that off, since I have hardly ever used rounded platforms. I really only used it for patio spaces. So the fact that I even thought, oh, we're going to try this in this build, I don't know what I was thinking. What you just saw was me attempting to put in a bathroom space. I thought it would be a good like way to divide the space and maybe do like flowers on one side and trees and stuff on the other. But I realized after the fact that I had deleted the floor on that second level, so I couldn't rebuild the floor or ceiling for those specific rooms for a bathroom. So we just have an open ceiling, which probably in hindsight would have been okay, but for some reason it just looked weird. So we decided not to do that. We ended up putting in a porta potty on the outside. Here I'm trying to get rid of this big dark spot on the floor, and I have to be honest with you, it never really worked out. I put lights in and it looked patchy, so eventually I just deleted all the lights and said, you know what, whatever, it's fine. I also realized that if I deleted a wall, that wouldn't happen at all. And because I really wasn't liking the way the door looked, I decided, screw this, we're just gonna delete the whole door. And we made it look like it was open instead, like an open door, when in reality it's just two walls that are pointed out with windows on them. But I mean, it was cool. That was a funky shape, and I look forward to doing that on something later, but that was not the goal. The goal was to create a circle. And this drove me nuts because apparently I don't know how to use the comma keys and the period key to like switch directions, so I kept putting them down and making the wrong shape, and it was driving me nuts. I also kept deleting the bottom wall. I have no idea why that kept happening, but it's fine. I figured it out. I also don't know why that little like platform thing occurred. It was causing me a lot of issues. In theory, I should have just cut that out of the video, but you get to watch me struggle a little bit. So in scrapping my original plan, I decided to do these 5 raised planter beds instead of like multiple rectangles and square ones. For some reason, I just thought it would be kind of cool if there was a pathway that kind of snaked through all 5 of those, and then those bigger spaces we could use for the playground and the chess tables and more tables and stuff like that. And I do like how that turned out. Maybe in the future, I will do something else so that we have like square raised planter beds, maybe even like a maze of planter beds. I don't know, that seems like it could be interesting. You've probably noticed at this point that on multiple occasions I have tried to put something down onto the floor and it's been at the second level instead of the first level. It was driving me absolutely insane. I have no idea why it does that or why sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. It happened at least 3 more times throughout this video. It was literally driving me nuts. I'd like to say that it's just because I deleted that floor on the second level, but it definitely has happened to me in other builds where I don't do that. Even like I'll put down a roof and instead of being at the level of my walls, it's like even above that. And I don't understand why. Like why? Here we are getting in those like makeshift doors. I feel like that fits the space kind of well. It looks a little odd, but I think in the end it works out pretty well. I really should have deleted all this footage. I'm so sorry that you get to watch me just delete tiny little lights throughout the space. But here we are. Now that all of those are gone, let's get to the rest of the build. So each one of these raised planter beds are a little bit different. Some of them have, well, they all have different trees in them to start with, and they all have generally different things around them. I, of course, do a little repetition in that I use those bushes again in other places, but most of them look different so that it's not the same. You're not looking at the same exact thing every single time you look at a different planter bed. So while we go, I've decided I want to talk about plants, like my plants. So if you've been around, you may know that I am a plantaholic. I have a full Instagram dedicated to my plants in my house. If you want to follow me, it's Sky's Plantstagram, SKYES Plantstagram. You'll find me, I'm sure. It's easy enough. I have so many different plants. We're probably getting close to 200 plants right now between my plants and what my mom has accumulated because of me. But I would say a majority of them are mine. I have been collecting now for about 4.5 years maybe, and the collection's gotten quite large. So over the years, of course, I figured out what my favorite plants are, what my favorite plants to take care of are, what are the hardest, and generally just like what I don't want. And I have to say that the pothos variety and the monstera variety, and oftentimes the philodendron variety, are my absolute favorite. I have probably 4, maybe 5 different varieties specifically of pothos, and I think I have another 3 of monstera, maybe even 4 of those too, and a couple different philodendrons. I honestly couldn't tell you how many of those I have. But I think it is going to be my new goal to collect all of the different monstera and pothos varieties. I really love them. I actually have a monstera adansonii up my left forearm. It's one of my favorites. It's also known as a Swiss cheese plant. It's green and it has some little holes in all the leaves. I think they are so stinking pretty and really quite unique. I do have a couple monstera adansonii. I have a monstera deliciosa, which are like those bigger ones with the big fenestrations. Those are the ones you typically see in like the jungle climbing up trees, and they look like they could be the size of a beach ball in the wild. Where in most homes, they don't get very large. Maybe the largest you'll see in a domesticated situation are like dinner plate size. They surely can get bigger, but generally speaking, they're probably about the size of your hand, opened up super wide as if you were like giving someone a high five. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because there's a local plant seller near me that has a rare Pothos Peru on sale. It's like 45% marked down for their summer sale. And it's still like $50 for a 5-inch plant. And I mean, that's pretty small. I think the average size plant that you could buy is probably about 5 inches. And it seems wild to me that a plant on sale is almost $50, and that's a 45% markdown. So that's without the markdown, it's almost, if not more than $100 I apologize, I can't math. But I'm like, that is wild. But then at the same time, in my mind, I'm like, that's not a big deal. Like, that's totally fine. I would buy a Sims game for that. The high school pack, which is buggy, is like $40, right? And you're not guaranteed to have good software. Whereas like a plant, the only thing that could go wrong is I screw up in taking care of it. And like, that's on me, you know? That's not because the person who sold it to me didn't do all the proper testing. Anyway, this was not supposed to be a bash on EA. It was just supposed to be me saying, wow, I can't believe plants are so expensive, but also I'm so addicted that I don't really care, and I would probably buy it anyway. But I don't have much money right now. I'm trying to save because I just took the California bar, and I don't really have a job right now. I have something kind of lined up, but it's kind of tentative, so I don't even have a job right now. So how could I possibly afford a $50 plant? I don't know. Anyway, so now we're getting into the more hangout area for the park. Of course, just a few moments ago, you watched me struggle with the stupid chess tables being on the wrong floor. Whatever, it's fine. It drives me nuts that it does that. Why would I put anything where there is no floor sims? Why would anyone do that? Whatever, it's fine. I'm not mad about it. It's okay. It's okay. It's totally fine. I'm just gonna take a deep breath now. Okay, I'm good. Back to normal. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. So here we're just going through on these planter boxes. I wanted to create like different dimensions. So of course you're gonna see the grass kind of in the interior, but we also have flowers along the edge. And then there's usually something else going on in the middle around the trees. Maybe there's like some more bushes, or maybe some more plants, or maybe some more flowers. So like in that middle one, we've got the lavender and the grass. And on a couple of the other ones, we do those low hanging or low something plants, low flowering. I don't know. I don't. You'll have to excuse me for being mentally half here. One of my cats, it looks like he is towards the end of his life, and it's really hard because I've had him for like 17 years. So we've been through quite a bit together, and the thought of not having him around is really, really hard. But he's lived a really good life, and he's been a really good companion to me over the years, and I'm just grateful to have had such a loyal and loving cat, and I feel very lucky. On to a different subject so I don't cry. As you may know, I love terrain paint. It's one of my favorite features in landscaping, and I feel like it can really change your build. I really like that you can change the opaqueness level, and I was trying to do that kind of on the pathway. I do that a lot in backyards too, to make it look like that people have walked on the grass area, so the grass has kind of died off in those specific spots, but isn't necessarily like so strong that there's no grass there. So I did that a little bit towards that bathroom around the back. Are those flowers called low-lying daisies? Low-lying... okay, it's really going to bug me. I will have to go look at it because I don't know what they're called. I found that's really something I need to work on, is like figuring out what certain items are called, especially the ones I use the most frequently. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. It's not me rambling on about the fact that I don't know any of the names of any of the items. All right, so the next thing we're doing here is we're putting down the pathways. I considered doing multiple different colors and kind of like having a rocky area or like a more flat area for the chess tables and the actual tables. But then I decided I liked the idea of putting all of these down and having all the floors and all the walking spaces be the same flooring. So we end up going with this terrain paint from, I believe it's Get Together. It looks really natural to me. It looks like someone or people put down some grass and then put down some of the stone floors, stone tiles, and whatever. And I like that look. I feel like it fits this really well, especially because we're doing a conservatory, so not putting down straight like concrete or something like that for a walkway, that this seemed to fit the space. So we're going around and cleaning up some of these edges here, putting in some more flowers, just kind of creating more detail. Of course, I had to have the rocket ship because it's a requirement for the park is to have like jungle gym equipment. I really struggled with deciding whether or not I wanted to put terrain paint down or use the like playground flooring. But, you know, for the same reason I didn't want to put down concrete, I decided we would leave the dirt instead of putting down the actual playground floors. So here we're just going to throw in some more terrain paint, kind of make it look more natural, like the walkways were put in over the top of the dirt or what have you. So we're just kind of making it look more detailed, and like I actually paid attention to all the little spots in the area, which for the most part I'd say I did. I did kind of want to make sure that there was something in almost every corner. You'll notice that there are a couple of empty patches. I considered like really filling them in and just going crazy on the landscaping, but it didn't seem like the right thing to do, especially because like the whole space was kind of more manicured looking, I guess. You know, like most of the plants are in the planter beds themselves, not just like around. So it seemed like a better idea to leave those corners a little more empty rather than filling them in. I will admit, though, that as I'm watching this back and during the voiceover, I'm kind of wishing I had done a pond somewhere. I don't know if people generally have ponds in the inside of these things, but I guess you could do a fountain. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, that would have been super cool, like a little koi pond or something even. Would have been just a fun addition to the space, especially if you could have, like, fished in it. Oh, well, that's a park for another build, I guess. Next time. So as we're kind of doing the final details, I think there's a couple more minutes of me finishing up some terrain paint and putting in a couple more plants. But as I'm doing this, I want to know kind of how you play. If you play The Sims and you're actually like involved in the gameplay itself, not just building, I want to know, where do you usually take your Sims? Do you almost always take them to the same lots? Do you put in different lots? Do you like delete everything and replace all of your lots and put in like things that have been built by Simmers or what have you? In the save file that I'm currently building this place in, this conservatory, I have evicted people from their homes and deleted several lots, especially in Willow Creek. So I have deleted a lot of the homes. I deleted the Notorious Goth home and Nancy Landgrab's home. I even evicted Nancy Landgrab. Haha, suck it, Nancy. Sorry, I really don't have anything against Nancy. I feel like if you're a Sims player, you have to hate on Nancy. It's just like a requirement, just like you have to call Vladdy Daddy Vladdy Daddy. Anyway, so I've kind of considered doing my own save file. I don't think I would do like all of the packs I have. Maybe I would just do like base game and take out a bunch of the homes and kind of rebuild everything, maybe build my own community lots. I kind of like the idea of challenging myself and seeing what I would do differently in these spaces. I have already built a couple of different things that I would put in those. Before I started my YouTube channel, I actually built a video game and karaoke bar, which I think turned out super cute. But I always wonder, I've done a lot of the work already and I've built a lot of different homes. I feel like how much more work could it really be for me to make my own save file? So if that's something you've done or you'd be interested in, please let me know. So we are at the finishing touches here. We're about to get to the screenshots. So thank you so much for watching my build. Go ahead and find it on the gallery. My name on the gallery is SimmerSky7. And on that note, I am going to bounce, sending you good vibes and positive energy and happy simming.